All right, we're on page 3 of the review, and this one says, solve each quadratic equation by completing the square. Show all your work and answers must be exact. So that I know we're going to leave stuff in the form with the square root if we get there. All right, so I'm going to choose to do this one in the middle. All right. So I need to move this to the other side first. That gives me the space for my C value. So I'm going to put a value in there, and I have negative 25 over there. So we haven't changed the equation at all. Now I'm going to go back through and I'm going to do b over 2 squared. That's the piece that I want to use in this section. Now to do that, I have 30 divided by 2 is 15, and 15 squared is going to be 225. So plus 225, and because we want to keep our equation balanced, and this was not in there before, whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So if I'm adding a 225 there, I'm adding a 225 there. So this side now equals 200, and this is where we factor here. But we have a simple method to factor this because this is now perfect square. That means that I have two pieces multiplied together, it equal the same thing, that ends up being on the left side. So we start out with x, and this is a negative, so we're going to put a negative in there. And I know I'm going to square it because we're working with completing the square. Now, to find out this number, I need to figure out what I did here. So 30 divided by 2 was 15. This is the piece that I put inside my parentheses, because when we came back and we squared it, it became 225. So I know that if I write it out, I'll have negative x minus 15 times x minus 15, and it'll get me right back to here. All right, let's complete this from where we're at. So I have x minus 15 squared equals 200. To get rid of my squaring, I do the opposite, which is square root. Whatever I do to one side, I have to do to the other. So in this case, I automatically put a plus minus because I'm now dealing with square roots. So I have x minus, let me erase some of that. So I have x minus 15 equals, this can be broken into 100 times 2. 100, the square root of 100 is plus or minus 10, square root of 2. Now I can start putting pieces together. So I'm going to add 15 and I'm going to add 15. I have two possibilities going on here. So I have x equals 15 minus, there's my bottom one, 10 square root of 2, or I have 15 plus 10 square root of 2. I cannot combine those pieces together because this one does not have a radical, does not have a square root for which to combine that with. All right, let's come down here to the quadratic formula. My quadratic formula says opposite of b or negative b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac, these are all multiplied together, all over 2a. So let's start identifying some stuff for this one. So our a is 2, our b is 9, and our c is negative 5. I plug these numbers in wherever I'm following my pattern. So I have a negative 9 plus or minus 9 squared minus 4 times 2 times a negative 5. All of that over 2 times a 2. All right, I'm going to work what's underneath here first. So I'm going to take, I'm just going to put it back together underneath. I automatically combine those. So 9 squared is 81. And I have 4 times 2 is 8. 8 times 5 is 40. So I have a negative, so I have positive. All right, so here's where we're at. So 81 plus 40 is 121. So underneath here I have 121. The square root of 121 is 11. So now I have negative 9 plus or minus 11 over 4. I have two situations to put together on top. I have a negative 9 plus 11 over 4, or I have a negative 9 minus 11 over 4. Let's work this one first. That would be a positive 2 over 4, and that would reduce down to 1/2. That's where that one comes from. Now I'm going to do this one underneath. Negative 9 and a negative 11 more is a negative 20 over 4, and that equals a negative 5. Those are the two answers for this situation. All right, let's take a look at the word problem. Here's our equation, and they're looking for different things in each question. Here we're looking for the height after 1 second. So I'm going to put 1 in every time I see my t into the equation. So let's just rewrite it, and you can work it on your own. And that will give you what you have at 1 second. This one's asking for your maximum height and how long and what the height is. Round to the nearest hundredths. Really quick review. Hundredths is your second decimal place. So it's this one right here, second decimal place. Now you're going to use negative b over 2a to find what your maximum height is. Then whatever you get, you're going to put that number back in this original equation, and that will give you how long. Now this one asks you what it's going to get when, it'll get to 0. So this one you're going to use the quadratic formula for, because that gives you your intercepts for your parabola. So you're looking to see when it's 0, but in this case it's probably something that looks like this. Something that looks like that. And you're going to round to the nearest hundred, so that's that second decimal place again. All right, give it a try.